Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. I didn't initially even think to mention this until just the last minute before the show. And probably my opinion is not going to be very popular, but nonetheless it's going to be how I feel and what I believe is the truth. I was watching Tim Pool. I often watch Tim Pool for about 45 minutes or so leading up to our show. Put him on in the background and listen. And in his chat, right as he went live, there were a number of people, including some in super chats, trying to urge Tim to talk about this documentary, if you will, called 2,000 Mules. And I know it's a big to-do right now, and I get it, and I understand. But I think it's incredibly important that people don't allow it to be a distraction. Now, I know there are individuals that, want to go whole hog after what all went on in 2020 with elections, and I understand it. But to put our focus on that right now would be nothing more than a distraction from all of the other stuff that we've got coming right down the pike at us. And so that's where I stand on it. I'm not saying that it was an intentional distraction, but I want to note that at the same time, I'm not saying that it wasn't. And I just want to make that clear, because that's how I feel about it. I really do think that it's being used as a distraction from all this other stuff that is sitting in front of us, right before us. And so that's what I'm concerned of, that people are going to take their eyes out the front window, right? They're going to stop looking out the windshield and they're going to be looking out the rear window as they slam into the back of a tractor trailer. And that's what I'm concerned with. So I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm saying don't let it consume you. Don't let it consume you, because like it or not, we can't turn back time. There's nothing we're going to do about what happened. I mean, possibly, hopefully, yeah. There could be charges filed, convictions, and stuff like that. But when's the last time you see these folks go to jail? How many different things do you know about Hillary or Bill or any number of them, and they don't, think about Hunter and all of that, right? They're not arresting him. So don't, I'm just going to say it, don't bullshit yourself. Nothing's going to come of it. It's the way our government works, and that's why it needs fixed. That's the problem. So don't take your eye off of looking out that windshield, because that's when they're going to slip that tractor trailer in front of your car. So anyway, and like I said, that wasn't even a thought on my mind. I don't even think 5 minutes before the show. But I'm sitting there and I'm listening to, I don't know if it came to my mind right before I started the intro or during the intro, and I thought, I'm gonna make mention of that, because unfortunately it's gaining, and I say unfortunately, it's gaining a lot of traction. The reason why I say unfortunately is because a lot of partisan folks have a bit of an issue with self-control. And so when they have something like this, and I'm not saying anything about what this documentary contains, because I haven't seen it. I'm probably not going to see it. It's not going to do anything to help me in the future. And it's not going to help you in the future. I agree we need to make sure things like that don't ever happen. There's a lot of things we need to do. But we can't do that by focusing on what happened in 2020. We know where the tomfoolery was taking place. Right? So that's what we need to focus on preventing happening again. It's not going to change what's happened in the past. But maybe we can protect better the elections in the future. So, anyway. Other than that, just kind of news all over the place again today. That's actually, in my opinion, a good thing. I would rather be bringing you all kinds of different news from different areas than a bunch of headlines dealing with the exact same issue, because that typically means that it's a pretty serious issue. First up, though, I don't call it a serious issue. I call it kind of a cool issue. And, I don't know how much stock I hold in any of this, to be real honest. I don't. But anyway, let me go ahead and take you on over. As you saw by the title of the show, U.S. Congress to question Pentagon on UFOs. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't expect much of anything out of this, because it is what it is. It's the U.S. government. But what I think is awesome about all of this is that finally there's actually being, some official acknowledgement going on. And that is what I think is awesome. A lot of the information that we get from FOIA requests and whatnot, a lot of that information is going to be so heavily redacted if it's anything that's got any weight to it. And believe me, that there's a whole lot of stuff that you'll never see. You will never, ever see. They will never release it. In fact, they'll just put that national security stamp on it. You'll never even know it existed. So, and I'm sure there's plenty of that. So don't expect a lot from this stuff, but my opinion, it's still kind of cool. I've always been a space kind of, pro-alien kind of guy. Alright. Here says the U.S. House Intelligence Committee, which is kind of ironic, right, has scheduled a hearing to follow up on some 143 UFO sightings reported between 2004 and 2021. So these are newer instances. Representative Andre Carson from Indiana, Democrat from Indiana, revealed on Tuesday. The hearing, scheduled for next Tuesday, will be held by the Intelligence Committee Subcommittee on Counterterrorism, Counterintelligence, and Counterproliferation, which Carson chairs. Since this is an area of high public interest, any undue secrecy can serve as an obstacle to solving the mystery, or it could prevent us from finding solutions to potential vulnerabilities, Carson told the New York Times. This hearing is about examining steps that the Pentagon can take to reduce the stigma surrounding reporting by military pilots and civilian pilots. And I find this interesting. And I wonder if by stigma, they mean that they're not going to be ostracized or made fun of, or because a lot of that would go on. But I don't think that is what really concerned witnesses from coming forward. There's a lot of stuff that's been reported, and hey, I'm not there. I don't know what happened, what didn't happen. But in many of these cases, you will hear stories about strange visits from individuals. And I know I probably sound tinfoil hattish, but if you look into these things, you'll see a lot of this, and it'll be people that show up in suits, men in black, if you will. And it is a very widespread report from witnesses. So I don't know when they say stigma. I don't know if they mean the prodding and jibbing by, fellow pilots and stuff, or whether they mean, well, like I say, it's commonly reported to have these visits afterwards. I don't know. Anyway, it says here, I don't think I read this last one, did I? Among those testifying before the subcommittee are Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security Ronald Moultrie and Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence Scott Bray. Both have been involved with further investigating the 143 sightings detailed in a report released last year by the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, an office that has since been replaced by the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. The new division, led by Moultrie, is supposed to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest in special use airspace and to assess and mitigate any associated threats to safety of flight and national security. Goes on to say, public discussion of UFOs has increased since 2017, when it was revealed the Pentagon had a project known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, tasked with identifying or at least trying to identify such aircraft. Last year's report, released to Congress while largely classified, hinted that the Pentagon was involved in analyzing the advanced technology seemingly displayed by UFOs, which it is divided into multiple categories, admitting in one partially redacted section that UAP, unexplained aerial phenomena, probably lack a single explanation. Spurring a renewal of public interest in the phenomena were 3 videos released shortly after the AATIP report and officially confirmed by the Pentagon in 2020 that showed recordings of an unidentified aircraft performing bizarre maneuvers not believed to be possible with known human technology. The last public hearings on UFOs concluded in 1970 when the Air Force closed its public investigation into the phenomenon called Project Blue Book. Despite numerous reports from pilots, both military and civilian, the Air Force concluded that no UFO had ever been a threat to national security. I gotta mention something there. That the objects thus far unexplained did not display advanced technology beyond the knowledge of the day, and that there was no evidence the aircraft in question was extraterrestrial. UFO enthusiasts have cried foul play ever since. And that was, again, that was the conclusion from 1970. That's not what they are saying now. So, what I want to interject here is it says, it mentioned that the Air Force concluded that no UFO had ever been a threat to national security. And I beg to differ. If you do some digging, do your due diligence, you will find there have been multiple occasions in which unexplained, unidentified aircraft with very bizarre maneuverability capabilities, they would pop up anytime that there was some type of a missile crisis. And there have been reports, and you can go check this out. Please do. I don't want to sound like the crazy guy here. But there have been reports that our military has even tried to fire a missile. No dice. They could not fire the missile. And the only real odd thing other than that, I mean, that's odd, but was the presence of an unidentified flying object. And I don't remember all the details. Again, there's more than one instance, but you can Google it, you can find the information. It's out there. And so, knowing that, and there are some that have actually attributed not having a nuclear exchange with these unidentified crafts. Because again, there was instances reported that people tried to launch and their systems wouldn't do anything. They done all the diagnosis, all the testing, everything, could not find a single thing wrong anywhere. But when they tried pushing that button, nothing happened. And nothing would happen the entire time that craft was there. So to say that, and I don't know that they've ever came out and admitted to it, the government themselves, but it's a pretty verified set of events. So to say that they've never posed a threat to national security, well, in a sense they haven't, because from my understanding, our military isn't the only military that's had that particular issue. So the only thing that I can deduct from it, if that's the truth, if that's the case, is that we got some folks up there looking out for us that have the capability to stop us from destroying ourselves. Maybe I just like to smoke on that hopium a little bit, but I like that idea. So, I don't know. I have been a long study of UFOs and aliens and whatnot, and I find it very interesting subject. So, I've said it before. I live in Highland, Illinois, and we were the beginning location for one of, I don't think it's the most, but the most verified UFO sighting. You could say that, the most verified. Multiple police departments reported seeing it. That started in Highland, 2001, right? I think it was 2001. Anyway, that started right here. A guy that I used to be a neighbor to, Melvin Knoll, rest his soul. He owned a little mini golf course in town here, and he went to go check by. He was a truck driver as well. He went to go check by his property on his way home, and pulled up onto the property, got out of his truck, and sure enough, that's when he saw the aircraft. Called the police department. Highland Police Department found it, put eyes on it, and then multiple police departments, I believe Lebanon, Dupo. So 2001, I believe it was, and you can research that too. So, yep, I'm a long time believer. So it is what it is. Have a sip of coffee and we'll move along. All right. In this great news, U.S. gasoline prices set new record, and they're saying that good chance it's still going to continue to rise. I find that mind-blowing. Says here, gasoline prices at the pump in the U.S. hit a new all-time record on Tuesday, according to the American Automobile Association. The average retail cost of a gallon of gas hit $4.37 early on Tuesday, the AAA said, surpassing the former record of $4.33 set in March. The increase is mainly due to the high cost of crude oil, which was hovering near $100 a barrel last week and is now closing in on $110, the association explains on its website. Futures of Brent crude, the main global benchmark, have actually dropped 7% since March 30th. As a result, gas prices have ticked slightly lower in April, but are now up roughly 10%. The retail price of diesel fuel also reached a record this week, hitting $5.45 per gallon. A recent survey found that increasingly expensive fuel has forced roughly two-thirds of vehicle owners in the U.S. to change their driving habits. And that's one thing. You can change your driving habits, but and a lot of people might think when I said the price of diesel, they might think, well, I use gasoline. Who cares? Because everything that you buy that gets shipped on a semi truck was delivered with diesel fuel, essentially. So it means cost everything is going to continue. So it's nuts. It is absolutely crazy nuts. Says here oil prices have been pushed higher by some U.S. refineries having closed during the pandemic, while the remaining ones are nearing full capacity, according to data from the Energy Information Administration. Global fuel stockpiles are being reduced as demand has recovered to pre-pandemic levels, whereas production has not been able to catch up. Oil supplies tightened further after Russia, a major oil exporter, launched its offensive in Ukraine, leading to the United States, EU, and allies imposing sanctions, yada, yada, yada. You know all that. I should know better than read the last paragraph. Sometimes it is new information, though. Usually it's just a recap. And then I saw this headline, and I'm like, wow. That is telling. Sorry, trying for a vape here, but gonna have to arm wrestle my mod here. Okay, I'll deal with it later. Investors dump Apple for Campbell's soup. Key global technology giants have lost over $1 trillion of their value in the last 3 days. Let's take a peek real quick just at the only page I know to look at. They didn't close as horribly as they could have, that's for sure. Anyway, hang on. Got a headline here. Ooh, I wonder who that is. Alright. Hang on, let me, oops. Didn't mean to do that. Let me throw this in the mix here. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see. It says key global technology giants have lost over, and I already read that, didn't I? Apple has shed $220 billion in market capitalization since Thursday. Microsoft is down around $189 billion, while Tesla and Amazon also suffered big losses, according to figures provided by the outlet. This comes amid a wider sell-off in U.S. markets, which fell sharply on Thursday after the U.S. Federal Reserve hiked its benchmark interest rate on Wednesday. The downturn carried over into Monday, and over the last 3 days, the Dow Jones ended up plummeting more than 5%. The S&P 500 shed 7%, and the NASDAQ Composite lost around 10%. More traditional stocks, meanwhile, such as food companies Campbell's Soup, General Mills, and J.M. Schmucker, have been on the rise as investors seem to be preferring safer parts of the market at a time of economic uncertainty. Food's going to be a high dollar commodity, believe me. The U.S. Central Bank's 50 basis point hike on Wednesday, the biggest since the year 2000, came amid intensifying efforts to tackle soaring inflation. The cost of living in the U.S. is being driven higher by surging energy prices as a result of the Ukraine war and blah, blah, blah. Putin, COVID, Putin. I think we know now. It gets ridiculous, don't it? I mean, it's like Biden runs out of toilet paper, right, in the White House. He's like, damn it, Putin! Or not, I don't know. Anyway, I thought this was an interesting article here. Apparently, a gentleman got tired of waiting for a pothole to be filled in St. Louis, and, and so he decided to fill it himself. However, he didn't just fill the pothole. Where's the picture? How do I get the picture to show up? Anyway, in the asphalt that he put in the hole, he took little square tiles and he spelled out "Eat the Rich." And there was a picture of it, and it's not popping up now. But and I don't know. Hang on. Oops. If I hit that, it'll pop up the picture. Maybe I can. Let's see. Hang on. Yeah, it won't let me have just the image. Oh, search image with Google Lens. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Anyway, it was kind of funny. But it just says "Eat the Rich" on it. Apparently somebody painted over it, so whatever. But way to get your point across. I mentioned this yesterday in yesterday's show. The Alabama corrections officer that had fled with an inmate, and anyway, so the story goes that she broke him out of jail. And wound up in Indiana. And the story goes that I guess somebody had reported seeing some odd stuff at a car wash. They got to looking. I believe they figured out that they were at a hotel or whatever there in Evansville. I may be getting some of this a little bit off. So anyway, from what I gather, it wound up involving a car chase. As the story is being told, they were planning to have a shootout with law enforcement, and that there were several firearms in the vehicle, stuff like that. And I guess I'm guessing they did something. I don't know if they did a pit maneuver on the car or what they did or whatever, but they took the car out of commission. And the story is, I guess, that she shot herself. That's the story. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. I don't. It is what it is. You gotta understand the level of betrayal that certain individuals that feel like they have a lot more authority than they should have. They would rather take care of things right then and there instead of hoping for the courts to do something, and you know that she wouldn't be put away for very long. And so yeah, I think her death was revenge, not self-inflicted. But that's my opinion, and I'm allowed to have my opinion. I'm not accusing. That's my opinion of how I felt that went down. So, okay, we're gonna shift gears and go across the pond for a bit. Well, let me go ahead and do this, get out of the way, since it has to do with the U.S. U.S. may get missile defense partner. This just came out just as I was doing the monologue here. Canada is exploring the possibility of joining the U.S. ballistic missile defense program nearly 20 years after a previous liberal government chose otherwise. Ottawa's defense minister said at a conference on Tuesday the option is part of the comprehensive defense review aiming to address new threats such as hypersonic missiles, said Defense Minister Anita Anand. We are taking a very bold and aggressive look at what we need to do for the defense of the North American continent, Anand said in a speech at the Canadian Global Affairs Institute in Ottawa. We are leaving no stone unturned in this major review of continental defense, she added. Let's see. Asked about the missile defense program, Anand said that Ottawa is certainly taking a full and comprehensive look at that question as well as what it takes to defend the continent across the board. When Politico reached out to the Canadian government for comment, a senior official said that Ottawa has not changed its missile defense policy. However, in 2005, Canada's Liberal PM Paul Martin announced in 2005 that Ottawa would not take part in the U.S. missile defense initiative started by President George W. Bush after abrogating the anti-ballistic missile treaty with Russia in 2002. It says here, Anand admitted that the world appears to be growing darker and Canada's geographic position no longer provides the same protection that it once did. In other words, the U.S. can't save their ass on the same level that we could before. From hypersonic weapons and cyber attacks to great power competition is a different place from when Canada's current defense policy, distilled to the slogan Strong, Secure, Engaged, was formulated in 2017. So, and it goes on to talk about how Canada's buying 88 of our F-35 jets. So, nuts. Okay. I had to have a drink. Man. I actually ran the air for a short period of time today. Maybe, 3-4 hours. Got up pretty warm. 88 or so, I think it was. So, went ahead and turned it on for just a little bit. Alright. Now we're going to start talking about stuff across the pond. EU nation sees highest inflation in decades. They're seeing it over there, and I believe they're going to continue to see it. I believe we're going to continue to see it. I believe much of the planet is going to continue to see it. Says here, consumer prices in Denmark have jumped to the highest level in 38 years. Official figures from Statistics Denmark showed on Tuesday. According to the agency, the Danish Consumer Price Index jumped from 5.4% in March to 6.7% in April. Prices have soared amid the rise in global energy costs against the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The specific key inflation drivers in Denmark were electricity, natural gas, food, and tobacco, the agency says. Prices of goods have risen by 10.3% over the past year, a rate not recorded since November of 1982, data shows. The so-called core inflation rate, which excludes energy and unprocessed foodstuffs in Denmark, rose to 3.6%, the highest since 1990, up from 3.2%. So things definitely not going good, and I don't think it's going to get better. Ukraine turns off EuropeBound gas. Russian gas conglomerate Gazprom has received no confirmation of force majeure, and I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, or any obstacles to continued transit of gas through a junction in Lugansk region, the company said on Tuesday after Ukraine's operator OGTSU announced it would halt further deliveries starting May 11th due to the presence of Russian occupiers. Gas Transit Services of Ukraine declared force majeure on Tuesday, saying that it was impossible to continue the transit of gas to a connection point and compressor station located in the Lugansk area. as OGTSU personnel cannot carry out operational and technological control over the Sokoranka, I can't say that, connector point and the Novopeskov compressor station, the company cannot continue to fulfill its contract obligations, it said. Gas from this connection will not be accepted into the transit system of Ukraine starting at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, OGTSU said. That person, I can't say that name, accounts for almost a third of Russian gas that transits through Ukraine to Europe, up to 32.6 million cubic meters per day, according to the operators. Gazprom has received no confirmation of force majeure or disruption of operations at those two places. The company spokesman Sergei Kabrupin, I can't say any of these names, sorry, said on Tuesday. He added that Ukrainian specialists have had full access to both facilities all along, and there had been no complaints about it previously. He also said that Gazprom had been notified by Ukraine gas company Naftogaz that if Russia continues to supply gas through that location, Kiev will reduce the volume at the point of exit by the same amount, effectively confiscating the gas. So, all this is going to make stuff even that much worse for the EU. And, I don't know if this is a smart move for them to do, because that's going to, in my opinion, I would think that that's going to get the EU pissed off at Ukraine. So, I don't know. Millions of UK homes face no heat this winter, the power chief warns. This is UK. I was just talking about the EU. I'm telling you, I really do think there are some really stupid times ahead. Scottish Power CEO Keith Anderson told the Daily Mail on Monday that with gas prices skyrocketing in the wake of the conflict in Ukraine and Western sanctions on Russia, household energy bills could rise to £2,900, which is equivalent to $3,576 by October. With some 10 million UK homes potentially unable to afford heating, Anderson called on the government to set up a support scheme. And this is what pisses me off. These governments will set up stuff to subsidize, right, the power company or whoever. Why can't they just come down on these individuals on their profit margins and say, guess what? You're not going to be making huge profits this year. You're not going to be able to talk and brag about your record profits this year because you're going to help the people. It blows my mind, the things that our government will do. But one thing that they avoid like the plague is going to the root of a problem. Unbelievable. Anyway. It says British households have already seen their energy costs, including electricity and heating, rise by £700 between October and April, and that increase is expected to accelerate, Anderson warned. It will hit incredibly hard and immediately, said Anderson, whose company supplies electricity to parts of Scotland, England, and Wales. If nothing else happens by October, I think we will see a huge increase in prepayment customers, in effect self-disconnecting, not reloading their prepayment meter because they can't afford to do it. We will also see a massive increase in debt levels for direct debit customers and a massive increase in people being pushed from direct debits to prepayment meters so that companies can recover the debt, he continued. We are heading to a really horrible place where none of us want to be. And I'm assuming that when they're talking about the prepayment meters, I'm assuming that they mean essentially the same thing as what, at least here, they call budget billing. So, I don't know. That's something that I've always known to stay away from because of the way they do it. Sometimes it can put you in one hell of a ringer in the end, like in the end of a year. Sometimes you could wind up with a really hefty bill that you can't afford to pay using that budget billing stuff. So that's why I've always tried to kind of avoid that. Your monthly bills might be cheaper, but believe me, they aren't gonna, and it goes by the history at that location. So if you use less energy than what the previous tenants did, guess who's getting screwed? So, anyway. Got one more tab here for you. Russia to help Belarus build missiles, says Lukashenko. So, this came out earlier. So, I'm thinking that maybe the reason why Canada said what they said was because of this. Says Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko said on Tuesday that his country will build a new missile system with Moscow's help. Speaking at a meeting with military officials, Lukashenko said he had been promised full support from Moscow in the development of a missile similar to those used in Russia, Iskander short-range ballistic missile systems. He added that the matter was discussed last month during a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Dmitry Rogozin, the head of Russia's space agency Roscosmos. Let's see. In my presence, President Putin told Rogozin, if that's how you say it, to provide immediate support so we wouldn't build it from scratch, but instead could use the experience of Russian missile experts who had built the Iskander. Lukashenko said that he struck a deal with Moscow to purchase Iskander missiles, noting that Belarus would keep the Russian S-400 air defense missile system currently stationed in the country. Well, hell yeah, they will. Iskander missiles are launched from mobile launchers and can strike targets at a range of up to 500 kilometers or 310 miles. Russia has used the missiles in Syria and most recently during its military campaign in Ukraine. The S-400 is one of the most advanced long-range air defense systems in the world, and it's produced by Russian company Almaz-Antey. According to the specs, it can hit targets of 400 kilometers depending on the type of missile, yada, yada, yada. It is a badass anti-missile defense system. The S-500, which I think they have quietly deployed, is even a completely different level than the S-400. And pretty crazy. It is really, truly crazy. At least the missile weapon systems and anti-missile weapon systems that Russia has created in the last 10, 15 years. Anyway. I guess I could have just brought you over to that and showed you the picture, huh? That's what I was talking about at the very beginning, or earlier on, anyway. The pothole that they filled in and they put tiles in it that said "Eat the Rich." That's a picture of it. Duh. I could have just brought you over to Twitter. Got more exercise again today. Mowed the grass. I actually love mowing the grass. So. Hang on, let me try to fight this for a couple of vapes. Okay, good enough for me. All these headlines from this morning, or I put out this morning, German airline accused of booting all Jewish passengers off a flight. Australia holds talks with top Indian military chiefs. British TV censored Zelensky Nazi pics, says a Russian diplomat. EU state working on an emergency plan for Russian gas halt, says media. They better hurry. Near miss at busy airport prompts action. Major palm oil producer mulls solution to supply crisis. Student gathering descends into deadly stampede. Hang on, I can't remember where it was. Bolivia. France reveals when EU may agree Russian oil ban. I believe that means agree on Russian oil ban. Most expensive work of American art revealed. Qatar and Germany in deadlock on LNG supply deal, says media. NATO state labels Russia a supporter of terrorism. German minister lights candle in Bucha. Covered that one. German firm meets key demand on Russian gas payment. Civilians killed in Donetsk shelling, says officials. Sanctions hurt U.S. more than Russia, says a poll. U.S. oil request rejected, says the media. I thought that was interesting. The United States asked Brazil in March to increase its crude oil output to curb soaring prices amid, yada, yada, yada. But Brazil told us to get bent. So, Russia to help... cover that one. Prison riot kills dozens. Over 100 escape in Ecuador? Yeah, Ecuador. Millions of UK homes face... I covered that. EU nations... I covered that. Japan imposes new sanctions on Russia. Ukraine's first president dies, says the media. Town strips first female cosmonaut of honorary citizenship because she said she supports the offensive in Ukraine. So, I don't know. I don't support either side. But this whole cancel culture thing is just stupid. Germany gives update on heavy weapons for Ukraine. U.S. intelligence, again an oxymoron, estimates Russia's plans for Ukraine. Ukraine's senseless PR action at Snake Island led to heavy losses, says Russia. A Facebook moderator sues company over human trafficking. Elon Musk says he will allow Trump back on Twitter. And I think Trump would be an absolute fool not to go back to Twitter because of the audience there. And I don't know. I haven't looked because I really don't care. But the last I knew, Truth Social still wasn't available on Android. And you have to be a complete moron to release a social media platform to where the only thing that can access it is an Apple product. That's like height of stupidity. But it is what it is. Theft of foreign assets becoming habit for the West, says Lavrov. Multiple Russian governors resign. U.S. Congress I covered that one. Disturbing photos prompt panic on plane. I guess, what was there, 9? And I think they were young. 9 Israeli youths were detained. They, after delaying, I'll just read. This is insane. after delaying a flight from Tel Aviv to Istanbul by sharing photos of plane crashes and causing panic among fellow passengers. As the Anadolu jet, if I said that remotely right, plane prepared for takeoff, many passengers received disturbing photos of airline disasters, prompting the crew to turn around and call the police. So, just crazy. I'm not quite sure how they pulled that off, but that's just messed up. Bill Gates catches COVID. Stop laughing. Spy chief fired amid cyber snooping scandal. U.S. may get missile defense partner. Oh, I covered that. And that's it. That is the headlines. That wasn't very nice. Laughing at Bill Gates getting COVID. I heard you. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. And I hope you all have a good night. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. And I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.